I mean, I got it. Someone gave it to me. And I feel if I don't eat it now, it will melt away because it's super
That's
hot
true.
today. So,
You have to eat it. It would have been rude to refuse it, and it would
mhm.
be messy if you did not eat it.
Yeah,
So that's fully justified.
fully justified. How are you doing?
I'm super jet lagged from the flight from London to Amsterdam.
The one
Uh,
hour killed you.
that 1 hour time difference is killing me. No, I'm a little tired but wired. We were in the same city, Nayla and I, last night for an event, which we will talk about. It was kind of the week leading up to the event was a lot of engineering work on the team's part, and that also includes me. So I'm feeling a little bit of the like we did what we planned to do, and I can relax a little bit, but at the same time I'm still kind of buzzing from all of the feedback we got at the event, the cool stuff that people built, and I want to just make our thing better.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
that's my headspace.
you said you didn't sleep well, and I also didn't sleep well. I felt
Yeah,
so energized from the event, and I was
yeah,
like, I was going home, and I was like, that's it now. Like,
yeah.
wait,
It's the
wait.
same thing. Yeah,
And I mean, it's also something we can share today, right? Because yesterday was quite excited because it was the first time where we showed what the engineering team has been building the last months, I guess.
yeah.
And it's our code generation platform,
Mhm.
drums,
Hey, we need
and
sound
it's
effects.
quite. Hmm?
We really need sound effects. That is deserving
Yeah,
of a sound effect. I
but
would love a sound effect for that, but alas.
and before we recap a little bit of the hack night itself, maybe we can look what people were using yesterday, because
Yeah,
then people on the stream also have an idea how hack night looked like and what
yeah,
people were building. So let me go and share my screen,
yeah.
and yeah, you know what, people can see my whole screen, and I think it's in there, right? So you see it,
I see us,
you see
and I see
us, and now
and I see the yeah, perfect.
and
Um,
yeah, so I need to
uh,
hide this.
yeah, I guess a little bit of context was the hack night last night. The event we did in London was the theme was agents and MCP, and so we asked if people would try to use our product to build MCP servers. And so our product right now is a closed alpha, let's call it closed beta, closed alpha, whatever we want to call it. So there's an allow list. We allowed everyone to hackathon into the platform, and they got a hackin, and it was mainly used for MCP servers. Um, and I'm guessing that's what we want to just spin it up to try to build one right now, and then we can talk a bit about the event, and then come back and see how our buddies do.
Create me an MCP server for what? Do you have any idea? We see there's a weather one,
Yeah,
maybe.
we could keep it simple for just so that it finishes a little bit more quickly. We could just do like a simple task management.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna have to the downside of the ice cream.
Okay, simple task management. Please don't ask for that. Oh well, do we want to see the specification before we say don't ask any
No,
further? No, okay.
well, we can introduce that concept maybe in a bit. Just don't ask any further questions. You can just like really hammer home, like keep it simple. This is for a demo on our live stream.
Ah,
I actually think that is a fun. Okay, wait, that would be a funny like prompt to test in research. Is like if you raise the stakes for an LLM to say like, by the way, this is a live demo, so don't take risks.
hmm.
I wonder if how that affects the output.
And that's for our demo on live stream. What did you say? Don't take any risk.
Yeah, just say live stream. I'm curious what happens.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
just create the code and deploy.
yeah,
And
and
refer and connect, right? So we can, because that's the one thing that's funny, or it's
yeah. The
cool
only thing is,
because we can use the chat as an MCP
yeah,
connection point,
we can
right?
do
So we
that
can,
on
yeah.
our own. We will connect to it on our own, and I'll explain why in a bit.
Okay.
But that actually that's I'm going to make a note of that because I think what you just described should be possible, but it's not, because of something I'll explain once we see what this agent gets up to. So a little bit more context about what's about to happen, and then we'll let it do its thing. Is there's a coding agent. It's going to take in Noah's prompt. It's going to plan what this MCP server should look like, and then it's going to write code and then deploy that code. So let's kick it off.
I mean, normally, well, maybe that's the thing. Normally, it would now first come up with a spec, and we would inspect the spec, and that's what we see here. It would do that, and we have time to change the spec if we are not happy, and then we would say once the spec looks good to us, hey, now create the code.
Yeah, and could you by chance hide your sidebar if it's possible, and zoom in?
Do you mean the?
Yeah, the arc.
Do you know how that works? I've never.
Yeah, perfect. And then if you zoom just a little bit so it's clearer on screen, what's yeah, that should be okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. While it's doing its thing, right? That's what a lot of people used yesterday to create their MCP servers. Do you remember? I think you went around and helped a few people. What were projects people were implementing that you remember?
Yeah. Okay. So the non-MCP thing that I remember that just kind of shocked me was that someone made a Telegram bot, and they made it in like 5 to 10 minutes. And I didn't even know that we could do that. It's supposed to be general purpose, but we kind of like, this is the very earliest, first released version, and I expected a lot of things to break. I did not expect someone to like create a Telegram bot with an LLM integrated that quickly. So that was exciting for me. I know that wasn't the theme of the hack night, but there was towards the end, there was a guy named Andrea who created an MCP server for cal.com. And cal.com, yeah, so he manages his calendar through that. They don't have an MCP server, and so he created one that connected to his calendar, and then he was able to like book time on his own calendar. And he was super excited. I just loved how excited people would get when things worked.
Yeah,
so he was very excited about that. We had way more people demoing than we anticipated, so he did not get a chance to demo because the office had to close.
I feel like now that you say that, I feel a little bit bad about it, because I feel everyone put so much effort also and like coming and do the thing, but then we keep getting submissions, and it was so crazy that we couldn't, like, we had over 20 projects handed in, and we had an hour for demos. So we initially thought we have like around 12, but then people keep like filling in the form. That was crazy, actually. But yeah, I also, do you remember, I like the one where it was doing the information from Spotify, the music one, musically. That was good.
Yeah. I also kind of like, there was probably a backstory. So this was a participant who I believe works with an Irish band who is starting to gain traction and like just to book more shows, go on more tours, get more listeners, and his whole thing is he's trying to build tools for them. I'm assuming he's friends with them, that help them like manage operations, because musicians typically just want to make music. They don't want to like manage inbound requests for shows with like their existing tours and follow-ons with organizers. So like he built something that his MCP server helped summarize analytics about their band from Spotify, so that they could kind of keep tabs on like, hey, how are we doing with streaming? How are our streaming numbers? Things like that. So
yeah, that's and I do have a question, because you're right, we don't have to build with our code gen tool MCP servers, but we always opt in for a certain technology stack, right? So this is very tied to our favorite stack, like the Honc stack, I would say, probably. So normally when we prompt also for a backend API, we will always probably end up getting a Hono.js API framework, probably ED1, and ORM as the Drizzle as the ORM. That's the way around. Have you tried changing this out with different components?
Theoretically, haven't tried. So, okay. We'll take one step back because I realize like there have been streams that I've not been present on about MCP, right? And agents.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
well, especially about MCP. So yeah, we had Lau on the stream the last 3 episodes, and we talked a lot about MCP server.
Okay, so just the brief recap, because if someone's just watching this for the first time and is like, yes, MCP, but you know, it's useful to define terms. So an MCP server, and this is reductive, but it is a kind of generic way to expose tools to an LLM. And it is a server because, I don't know, it serves those tools. It's like a logical separation between an MCP client, which is typically something like a LLM chat interface, but doesn't have to be. And so when the client, which is usually an LLM, wants to like plug in some new tools without a developer having to go and like modify the code that serves the LLM, they can use that MCP server, just connect to it, and then they get those tools. So what that means is if you have something like an LLM-powered chat interface, like the one that we're looking at right now, you can turn it into an MCP client, and you can connect to MCP servers. So this is a little bit of like a mind melting, not melting, but like it's a very meta experience to be like, you're in this chat, you created an MCP server, and now in that same chat, you're going to connect to it to test it. And that's what we're about to do.
I mean, we can see, like, I'm wondering, I see it did already a bunch of things. We can see here the deploy has worked out. So we can probably, so there's a simple task management MCP server on it.
And if you go to /fp, you should see, like, we're going to build, so this will be very familiar to frequent viewers of the stream, but there's a API testing interface here. We're going to port that back into the code generation platform. Our colleague Steph is working on that as we speak. Also, I saw a comment from Waternilly, which is a great name, and I think I remember you, who said they had a great time at the hackathon. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Cool. Yeah. I don't see the chat, so it's good that you keep an eye off. Like, I share my screen at the moment, so I'm in front of the Fiberplane API playground. So
yeah. All right. And then I guess another thing of like, why are we talking about this on a Honc stream is that, well, yeah, Nela just said it. It's because a lot of times it is producing a Honc app, which is neat.
And it's also like, I don't know, you worked on this code gen tool, but I feel it's also nice if it's more specific, you can give more instructions how the code should look like, I guess, if you know the tooling already. Is that the case? Or would you say it didn't really matter as a design decision?
Wait, how do you mean? That who's giving instruction?
Well, for the engineering, the code gen tool, you know already, you will always opt in for Honc as an endpoint, as API framework. You can give the code gen tool while building more instruction how that should look like. So more rules to follow, so to say, for how it should be generating those things. Because if you would have only a very generic code gen tool, it could go quite wild because there might not be the right rules attached to it, right?
Yeah. So it's boundaried in that sense, and that allowed us.
That's the word.
And that allowed us, like, theoretically, you could definitely try to make it not use anything Honc related. It's going to deploy on a Cloudflare worker. That's the only hard requirement. And so you could be like, I don't want Honc. I just want like a worker that does some stuff. The reason that so there were some technical hurdles with generating Honc apps that would deploy almost instantly to Cloudflare. We had to question at a certain point, like, are we doing this? Are we going to do Drizzle as the backend or Drizzle as the ORM? Because it was difficult to get migration files out for reasons we could get into later. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we actually do need a standardized way to redeploy and possibly update data models, and we have all the tooling available for that. in a Honc Out. So if we didn't do it with Drizzle and Drizzle Kit, then we would have had to find a solution, a different migration manager, and work a little bit out of our expertise, I guess. And so, yeah, that kind of drove the decision. It's like we've been building these apps, we know how they should look, and then the initial experiments with LLMs were like, okay, they can do this with a bit of nudging. So yeah.
I would say the goose is proud of us.
The goose is so
yeah, the goose is proud so that we stick to Honc, right? So, should we try out our MCP server now in the chat?
Yeah.
Because so I think like it's asking us already if we want, right? So it's like, would you like me to connect this MCP server to our chat? So, and you said it's because of the migration that we cannot tell it directly to deploy and connect, or
yeah, okay. So like ideally for this demo, we would have just given it the instructions of everything to do, of like build the app, then instantly connect to it. That should be possible relatively soon. The reason it's not possible right now is that the deploy, so the agent only knows when the deploy started, and then there's not really like a so it's like on your next message, it will know if the deploy succeeded, but there's not like an update going in where the agent responds to that update, like out of the loop of you talking to it. And that's something we definitely want to ship, because it's, I don't know, I like magic.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the idea of the state is not clear for the chat, right? So the state is kind of, we fire the message and we then don't wait for a return.
Yeah. So we like, there's a couple of ways we could do this. I think like a deliberate design decision was do not block the chat while a deploy is ongoing, because the deploy can take 5 to 10 seconds, and then what are you doing? You're just like sitting there with a spinner or whatever.
And with the ice cream, I think everyone should have now ice cream.
A spinner. Yeah, just grab an ice cream, wait for the deploy. Yeah, so I mean, like there's some ways there's hacky ways we can handle this, but the right way is to introduce this concept of like an incoming event that the agent responds to outside of your normal chat loop.
And also maybe before we connect, because we saw here the specification is created, what we also can see now is if we go to the code tab, we see all the files it has created. So we see the database schema, but also the index file. And for like, I mean, we don't want to, but for now we can't change. The only way if we want to have changes here would be the chat. But I think we also have maybe the plan to have an editor in the future.
Yeah, 100%. It's just too hard to do quickly. Because you can't see it here, but we have a concept of versions and versioning. So like you can kind of have a checkpoint and go back to it. And so you need to be very strict on like when you commit changes to a code file and create a new version and things like that. So when you build an editor on the client side like that. Also, like just the front end work is non-trivial too. So like we have to consider, should we show type errors? How do we do that efficiently? So it's just a lot of work we haven't done yet, but 100%, like if we're going to put this at hackathons in the future, already like tons of people said last night, like, what, can I edit the code? And I was like, I'm sorry. I
mean, I would say I like that option still, that you can download, right? So you could also say, okay, I take it into my IDE for further inspection or whatever. But then also you can prompt in the chat and see what the LLM comes up with when you ask for change.
Yeah.
Now let's let it connect, right? So
for the purposes of the demo, if you could quickly switch to the tab that had the API Explorer.
So you mean the
and I think if you're on a Mac, Command Option up and Command Option down should switch you between these two. If you go to Get, like that, and Command Option down. So if you go to Get API Tasks, and you execute that request, you get an empty list. So we'll use this as a little bit of the, did something happen when we call the MCP server?
Okay, let's do that.
All right, so let's connect it and then try to create a task, I guess.
Yes. Please connect. Should we already tell it now? Well, we do it one step after each other. Yes, please
Okay.
connect.
Yeah.
Also, funny enough, like yesterday, I have to mention it, sorry. I mean, I think it was a great success and people loved it, but we also hit a rate limit. So I think
Oh yeah,
fun.
we have to bring that up. Okay, so yeah, we and like I can take, I think in the moment we were pretty, and I'm gonna call us out on this, we were pretty keen to like shove a little blame on Anthropic, like, oh, Anthropic's rate limiting us. That's like it's 100%. I'll take the blame. Like I should have done some napkin math. I should have like did a bit of like, okay, if we have 30 people on this all generating apps, how many tokens would be produced? And yeah, ultimately after about I want to say 20 or 30 minutes, we hit rate limits very hard. Especially as conversations grow larger and larger, then we get, and so a lot of people hit issues and a lot of people couldn't build. It hurt my heart hearing that in a lot of presentations because they're like, yeah, it's like the UI broke after we tried iterating. And yeah, it's on me. We learned.
We learned, but it's that's a fun part of those events. And also like, yeah, I mean, we announced it's pre-alpha or what did we say? But it's not like production ready. So
yeah,
that's why I'm creating now a task for you to remove the rate limit from this code gen tool.
Thank you.
Believe
me, there is already a task, but it helps to have another.
It helps to have another, so why not?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Can we check
if it has been created?
Yeah.
So yes, here it is.
All right, perfect. Cool. So we have an MCP that interfaces with a Honc app, and then the same data is exposed via an API. The cool thing to drive home here is that like this task manager is now like independent of any LLM chat interface or anything like that. So you could plug it into Claude, you could plug it into Cursor, you could plug it into Windsurf, and you could still manage your tasks, personal tasks that way. And I guess you can still build a front end that consumes from the API to have a nice, I don't know, visualization of your tasks, probably. Yeah. I know no one's necessarily in the market to like build their own task manager right now. There's a lot of really good products out there, but this is to drive home like, yeah, a little bit of this like portability of integrations and data that an MCP server provides. Yeah. I think because this is turned into a long stream. I think
sorry.
It's 23 minutes, I guess. I'm trying to think of other things that are fun to show. I guess one call out. I don't know if we want to do this at this moment. Are you logged into Linear at the moment?
Oh, probably.
Okay. Do you want to try something? Whatever. We're gonna burn a couple more minutes. I want to see if this works. So okay, you logged into Linear.
That's our stream here. So I have a Linear saying follow stream. So here we are.
So what you could do. This is a little crazy. I don't know if it would work. So if you look up the MCP server for Linear, and it might be just like mcp.linear.app or something like that. Top one, Linear MCP server. That's their changelog. Just look for the URL for it. Yeah, setup instructions.
Where are you? There, the Cloud Visual. Wow, where's the link?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if the SSE will work, but we'll try.
So I can tell now my chat, please connect.
Yeah. You might want to use /MCP, but we'll see. We'll see. And if this doesn't work, we can drop this experiment. Okay, so I should say what I want to. Okay, yeah, all right. So you can connect to authenticated MCP servers. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of leaking possibly sensitive information if someone's watching in real time, but it won't work after you use it. Oh, I'm literally, Okay, right
It
before
should be
this stream,
clickable.
I'm fixing this bug right now. I was working on this bug right before this stream.
But you wanted to show the bug, so you can show, okay, I fixed it after. So, but yeah, okay.
Oh, that's too funny.
I approve. Okay, so
oh, that's a bummer. Okay, I should check the logs for that.
But it should have like brought me to well, once it's authenticated, I could then also create tasks in Linear, right? So that's what you.
What I had in mind was to see if it could deduplicate your personal task manager with things in Linear. So like look at your personal task manager and then look at Linear tickets, tell you like, oh, there's already a ticket for this. But yeah, that was going to be my magic demo of some kind. But okay, that's for another time. We have
that's
things
for another time. Cool. But I think that's a good wrap, because we are back on streaming. We are back with a code generation tool, and I think we have a lot of things to come.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm even more excited after yesterday. So yeah. It's super cool.
Like I said, the people for whom it worked, because of the rate limiting issue, which I take responsibility for, the people for whom it worked were very, very effusive and positive, and that was probably why I didn't sleep well last night, because then I was just like, all right, what are we making?
Yes.
And I guess I don't. So we have a event in 2.5 weeks in Berlin, 8th of July.
Yes.
We will be. This tool will be available at that event. I don't know if we're necessarily in a spot to just like sign anyone up who wants. But if you are watching and you do want access,
reach out.
Get in the Discord. Yeah, get in the Fiberplane Discord and just yell like, "I want code gen," and we will DM you.
Yeah, we can make that somehow happen, I'm sure. Yeah. So we also like early feedback. So I think it's good if people try it out, try to break it, try to get more rate limiting or other.
Yeah, we have to go back to Anthropic and justify why we want a significantly higher rate limit at the same time that I also have to fix how many tokens we're sending to them, because I think that's part of the problem.
Cool. So next week, maybe also as a cliffhanger, next week we have Harshil joining from Cloudflare. He will come, and we will not talk about code gen that time. We will talk more about front-end stuff. We talk about the React router and TanStack. Yeah, and he's working on that recently, so I'm super curious already to know what he is sharing or to find out what he will share on the stream. So yeah. I also see that Jürgen is joining and said that the generator is amazing. Cool. That's so good to hear. Thanks for joining yesterday as well. And yeah, as said, we are in Berlin as well in 2.5 weeks. There is a big congress. We are developers, and we host the Hack Night on July 8th. You find information on Luma and probably also on the Fiberplane Twitter. If not, just ping us. We are happy to share the information for the event as well. Yeah. So yeah, with that, I would say it's a stream.
It is a stream.
It's a stream.
Till next time.